All right. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, hi, hi. How are you?
How are you doing?
Good, great. I think I'm just waiting for the Latino Outdoor account to request me on Instagram to
Okay.
join.
So we are going live on Instagram and on StreamYard, on Facebook, on Twitter, with the Sierra Club Angeles, with Aura, with Latino Outdoors. So there are a million ways to tune in for this conversation on Advocacy Afuera, on this mini strategic planning and training session. So let me start live on Latino Outdoors Instagram.
Yeah, and while you get us in on Instagram, I want to just tell people that today we're going to be able to talk about we're going to be talking about what are the issues that matter to you, who can give you what you want, who can resolve them, how do you connect to with others, and how do you can use Afuera, and what are some of the things that you can do to make sure that your advocacy is amazing and is happening. So here, let me lower the volume here. All right, we're here. I think hello everyone. Kim, we can't see you or hear you yet and in StreamYard. All right, hi everyone. Oh, hello. The Instagrammers and everybody is tuning in. Welcome. Welcome. It's Latino Conservation Week. Woo woo. Who is ready? We have some really exciting conversation today with all of you. I hope that you are getting comfortable and ready to participate, even though we are in this setting remotely. I want to make sure that everybody knows that you are welcome to join us in conversation here on the chat. So thank you everyone for joining us. All right, Christian, I think you're muted, but you can take it away.
Uh, Hello, everybody. Good evening, buenas noches, buenas tardes, buenos dias, whatever it may be, wherever you are. My name is Christian Lamont. Pronouns are he and him, and I am the storytelling and communications manager for the Yo Cuento program with Latino Outdoors. And Yo Cuento means I matter, I count, I have a story to tell, and those are all encompassed when we talk about conservation cultura, and especially when we talk about advocacy and advocacy afuera. So we are here joined by Aura and by Kim, experts in their own fields, with advocacy and doing the work and conservation. So we're super excited, thrilled to be welcoming everybody for Latino Conservation Week. Um, and as I mentioned on StreamYard or on live stream, we are on, right now, we're on the Angeles chapter of the Sierra Club. We are on Latino Outdoors. We are on Aura's accounts. So there are a million ways to be able to tune in and join us. And we will be, I'm trying to invite Kim right now.
Yes, invite Kim.
I think I finally got in.
Okay,
Yes. Oh my God, it's happening. I love it.
there we go. Wonderful. So, real quick, a little bit about Latino Conservation Week. Um, it is an initiative. I think we're on year 9 or something like that with our friends from Hispanic Access Foundation, and I'm sure you have seen the hashtags. I'm sure you've seen the excitement, the buzz around this. Everybody's talking about it. Secretary of Interior Deb Haaland gave a shout out to Latino Conservation Week today. Senator Alex Padilla. A lot of people are talking about it, and we hope you will too. So if you want to use the hashtag Latino Conservation Week or hashtag LCW 2022, just join in the conversation, amplify each other's voices. We'll be sharing tips on how to advocate, what is advocacy, how you can get involved. And without further ado, I would love to introduce you to Aura and to Kim, who will tell us all about themselves and what they do and where they fit into this huge puzzle piece.
Kim, you take it away. And also, there's something with the video in on Instagram. We cannot see you. Okay, there you are. You can take it away, Kim. Go for it.
I feel like this is my non-millennial moment right now on the apps. Buenas tardes, everyone. Yes, thank you, Christian and Ada. I'm very excited to be here and have this conversation with you all. Latino Conservation Week is something that's fairly new to me, and I'm very excited that this is something we continue to bring people on board to. Um, and do I mute myself off the Instagram one too? No?
I think
Okay,
you're great. I think we hear you
awesome.
fine.
Great. Yeah, this is something that's fairly new to me. As a Latina growing up in like South LA, Koreatown, conservation was not something that I knew I could get into like a career. It's not even what I went to school for, but I'm so excited that in my later years, I started learning more about the importance of getting involved in environmental action, conservation. Um, we all know that in our culturas, we're brought up to be conservationists, but we don't see it that way. So I'm very excited to be here today, and now working with the Sierra Club with the Angeles chapter as the conservation program manager.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you, Kim. Hello, everyone. It's good to see everyone here. My name is Aura Vasquez. This is my second year that I get to celebrate Latino conservation with Latino, Latina, Latine, Latinx, in whichever way you like to call it, week with Latino Outdoor and the Hispanic Access Foundation and all of the partners that make sure that this week is becomes a reality. And I'm super excited because for many years, a lot of you know me with my environmental work, and from working on getting LA off of coal with the Sierra Club, we're working on parks access with my mutual aid, being a former commissioner for LADWP and a lot more. And this is a really good time for me to kind of share a little bit of the knowledge that I have with all of you about how you, if you are an outdoors lover, or if you just care deeply about our environment and getting outdoors, this is a good session for you to learn how you can advocate afuera, and both sense, in the sense of being outside and how do we do this work in mother nature, and also how do we make sure that we are advocating for incredible things in our community. So this live stream is interactive. You can post your questions on the chat and your comments. The more you comment, the better. We're not limiting here like the amount of comments. If you're having a hard time hearing us on Instagram, no worries. We're also streaming on my YouTube, and we're streaming on the Angeles chapter, Facebook and Twitter, also my Twitter, and of course, in Latino Outdoors, all of the Latino Outdoors handles. So join us there if this isn't really working for you, or if you are cooking your tamales or your empanadas or lo que sea, and you want to just kind of hear and not have your phone in your hand, go ahead and put it in your computer and you can listen to more. All right, so let's begin. So how do we do advocacy outside? And I'm going to rely a little bit on Kim too, for her to share this work, because there are a couple of things. There's a lot of issues that are being spoken about at different levels. And I think the first thing that you need to know if you want to start this work is, at what level do you want to work on? So, for example, do you want to work on federal lands, making sure that our mountains and our beautiful, pristine places are not being fracked or drilled for oil or for gas or for any fossil fuel? So you got to think about, like, is that like, maybe I want to do federal work and maybe I want to get involved in that aspect. And maybe you want to get involved at the state level, which there's a lot of, also stuff happening at the state level. What parks get open? When do they get open? What kind of funding do they have? Why are there so many fires in our public lands and on our parks? And what can you do about it? So there are many different, aspects and issues that you can choose from, and that you can get involved. Or maybe you want to get involved at the local level. There is there's a lot of issues locally in terms of our, advocacy afuera, like being outdoors. Like, for example, how many trash cans that are next to rivers that we visit and we hike to, when we want to recreate with our families? How come some places get more funding than other places, in our communities, which is worth also thinking about? What are some of the things that you can do to make sure that when you go outside is safe for you and your family, and that there is a system that your local community is supporting in order for that to happen? So I'm going to pause there because I know that you guys work on these issues, and maybe you can give people some examples and just some ideas about what are some of the issues that are happening out there in which people can get involved. So I don't know, Christian or Kim, which one wants to go first, or maybe both?
Cool. I'm trying to get the sound good here. Yeah, and I think Aura, you made a really great point of like, just starting local. Like, your community best. You know what your community deserves and needs. And yeah, I'm like really curious to see you all engaging in the chat. Like, what is your favorite local park? Like, what is your favorite nature that you like to go and enjoy and recreate in? Because I feel like the passion first starts with protecting something you know and you love. I grew up in South LA. I didn't have a lot of park space, and it wasn't until my later life that I got into trail running. I had no idea what like national park land was, what state parks were, but I had a trail. And this was pre-conservation environmentalist Kim. I would pick up trash because that was my trail. Like, this is my trail. Like, I go running there. I've young like coyotes, and I would still go because it was beautiful to me. It was like my connection, my disconnect to the city. So I would clean it up. When I moved back to LA after college, it was Griffith Park. I would go trail running at Griffith Park and throw some little hearts or some emojis if you recreate in Griffith Park. So it really starts with making that connection to your natural areas, to your local parks, connecting with other people who also love that space and want to protect it, finding organizations that have a mission to like conserve lands, protect lands. And I think that really builds the power behind advocating for these places. Like Aura mentioned, finding funding to continue protecting these places, giving it the resources, the staffing, like all of the things that it needs. So I just really want to stress that it really, I encourage you all to get involved locally in your natural areas, in your local park, because even though we are known for like LA being park poor, we do have these hidden little gems. They exist. They create such a beautiful like place for people to enjoy. I just recently moved to Culver City, so now I have beautiful Kenneth Hahn State Park here, and it's just really amazing to see that community needs parks and the benefit that just having parks and community creates, like resiliency. They do yoga at the park, so just wanted to share, like, I really emphasize like people getting involved in their local areas.
Thank you, Kim. And Christian, if you can maybe tell us what are some of the priority policies that Latino Outdoors and partners and all the fam are working on, so that people kind of get an idea of maybe get ideas of what they can maybe support or get with right now.
Absolutely. So it's interesting, right? We are always advocating for and signing letters onto and supporting and putting our voice and our hearts behind causes that open up access to more people to get outdoors, to remove barriers, to transit to trails programs, creating more parks, bringing parks closer to us so that we don't have to go to these epic journeys. Not that there's anything wrong with Yosemite, it's beautiful, but sometimes not everybody can get to Yosemite. So Latino Outdoors is always supporting those. However, right now we're also undergoing this conversation about national monuments, and I think over on the Hispanic Access Foundation and Latino Conservation Week Instagrams, they're also having a conversation about national monuments. But from my perspective, it's been this incredible learning experience, because I am very similar to you, Kim. I'm an accidental environmentalist, where
Right.
where I like the outdoors. I liked walking, I liked the views, and then I started learning like, well, how do you take care of it? What are the policies behind it? Who do you reach out to when you learn about it? And I feel like in national monuments right now, in particular, we're talking about one in the Southland, kind of in the Inland Empire area, Riverside, San Diego area. And one of my biggest things was it seemed like a very much of an insider game where you had to know, you had to be plugged in, you had to like belong to this organization or that organization to know that there was even a national monument being considered in your own backyard. And so for me, a lot of it is like listening and learning and trying to just start the basics, like what is a national monument? What benefits do they bring to your community? Who is making these decisions?
Right.
How does the process happen? So for me, it's not just being a part of it and advocating for it. It's also a learning journey because, as somebody mentioned during one of these conversations, it's not that stewardship and caring for the land is new. You know, as Latinos, as Latinx people, like this is part of who we are. This is the conservation cultura we talk about. It's centuries and decades and millennia old, and yet this conservation conversation is kind of a new one. And there's a lot of intricacies and a lot of policies and a lot of like things that you have to know to be caught up to speed. So that's why I appreciate the work of Aura and Kim to kind of, you know, pull back the curtain and make advocacy on these levels accessible and understandable for people. So you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to know these things and be a policy wonk. You just have to be somebody who cares.
Thank you for that. And I also want to just reflect on the idea that a lot of us in, you know, Latinos, Latine community are, you know, at heart environmentalists and conservationists. You know, we saw our abuelitas, you know, with the reusable bags y las canastas y cosas así. You know, like for us, it's very familiar to reuse everything. You know, there's no bottle of, if you can relate to what I'm going to say, put a heart in the comments. But in my house, in my mom's house, there is no container that is going to go to waste. There is no Chinese food container that is going to go to waste, or yogurt or hummus or whatever it is that you, or like salsas or like guacamole or lo que sea. Like I have a crazy collection of them because I learned that we reuse them. Maybe, you know, when we have our food and you know, when we want to save, you know, so all of this plastic pollution also ends in our public spaces and in our public lands and on our trails. So I think what you said was really great for the segue, which is, well, I found a problem. You know, maybe I want to advocate for naming my monument and a different name, or maybe I want to make the San Gabriel's a monument, so, which was actually a really great example that is close to home here in Los Angeles. Or maybe I want to stop fracking in my mountains. Or maybe I'm from West Virginia and I want to stop the top mountain removal to like mine for coal or something like that. So, you know, but what do I do? And who has the power to give me what I want? And I think it's so it's so telling that we need to learn who are our elected officials, my friends. All my nature lovers, all my mountains, you know, people, and my hot spring hunters and my mule howlers, all of you, you know who I'm talking to here. We're en familia. You guys, we need to learn who our elected officials are. From the local level, who's your city council member, who's your assembly member, who's your senator, your governor, who represents you in Congress, who is the president. I hope that we all know who our president is, because then, you know, but this is like super important. And you might be saying, yeah, that sounds easy, but how do I do it? You know, there's something really amazing that is called Google. You can just go to Google and type, who is my elected official, and put your zip code. And it's going to give you a menu of options about, you know, how to find, you know, these elected officials. And why am I saying this? Because at some point you're going to need their support in order to get what you want and to get, you know, something changed. So I want to give an example. I love swimming holes. I love going to hot springs. And there is a local trail here in Los Angeles that is to the Bridge of Nowhere. So if you know where this is, you can raise your hand. It's super sweet. It makes me feel at home because there's tons of like families and children and people running around, and it's wonderful. But it's really sad for me, and similarly to what Kim said, to sometimes go on the trails and see so much waste and trash and things that people leave behind. It's disheartening. I usually bring an extra bag and I take all the trash with me, right? But also, we should have an infrastructure where we can make it easier for people to kind of dispose their, trash. So one thing that you can do if you're in that area or in this area is call your city council member or call somebody in that area and say, we need more trash cans. We need a better service. We need better services so that we can also be better. Because it's not just about blaming, oh, well, it's them throwing all the trash. But sometimes you just don't have a place where you put your trash. So I'm giving you this very like a small example, but and Kim, you have been working on this like kind of issue on the outdoors and such, and just taking people outside. So how has been your experience like organizing people in the outdoors?
Yeah, no, very, very great points. And before I was with the Sierra Club, I was with this organization called Nature for All, which I'm sure some of you are familiar with. And Nature for All really specifically was working on expanding the national monument of the San Gabriel Mountains, which is the Angeles Forest. And I do this also with my friends. Whenever we go outdoors, it really is about education. I think some of us get into this internal fight of like shaming people, but that doesn't really help anyone when you're like, that's your trash, you should pick it up. Because we can't assume that people know. So I think education is number one, and like coming from a very kind place of educating people, offering like, hey, I have a bag, do you need one to take your trash? um, but yeah, I think when it comes to being outdoors and advocating for the outdoors, we have to be really sincere and just like understanding that not everyone has the same connection. We all have our various unique experiences and connection to nature. So just like being in community and educating one another when it comes to these issues. Um, I think while I do caminadas, whether it's with family or friends, I'm just asking them, like really leaning into like that, like how much do you know, and like that opens up a conversation of like, have you been to this place before? Do you know that who's? I think something that I've been trying to practice and be better about is like doing land acknowledgement and educating my friends on like whose land we're on, and that kind of also opens a conversation around like why these places are so important to protect them. Letting them know who manages the land. I think that's something that I've also been experiencing, that not many people know who should be taking care of these places. Ultimately, we're all stewards, so it's our responsibility, but there's also agencies that manage these places, whether it's the city, where it's the county or the Forest Service. So those are also opportunities to educate people. And ultimately, those are also decision makers, right? To like the point that Aura was saying, like we need to know who we need to be like, whose door we need to be banging on, right? To like, get them to listen to us, to advocate for what we're protecting for, giving us the funding that we need for these places. So yeah, just like leaning into asking people questions, educating them. Do you know who manages this land? You know, and then yeah, I think Aura made a really good point too of like knowing who these decision makers are and these elected officials, because it could be an agency, it could be an ask for a city council member. And I think something that I learned very late in my life was I was very intimidated about thinking about going to advocate to like a Congress member or a city council person.
Yeah.
But it's their job. Like it is their job to listen to us. And I feel after the first or second meeting I had with an elected official, with a council member, it was actually a very positive experience. So just also encouraging people to not be afraid to send an email, to make a call. They really are there to listen to us. We elect them into office. They're there to listen to us and our needs and what we want to see our communities have more of.
Thank you, Kim, so much. I don't know, Chris, if you have anything to add. I know that folks are having a hard time listening um, to Kim. You can also go to YouTube, to my YouTube. You can go to Twitter. There's a lot of places where you can listen to this combo outside of Instagram. So I just wanted to mention that. So anything else about elected officials, Christian, that you can maybe shine light?
Yes. So you might feel intimidated and you might be hesitant because you say, what can I possibly bring to the conversation? Your lived experiences, speaking for your community, your neighbors, your parents, your own experiences is huge. It's huge. They have the research, they have the experts, they have access to that information. What they need are stories, people's stories, their firsthand experiences, those connections. And I want to shout out that like Hispanic Access Foundation has great resources. Where they had Latino Advocacy Week earlier in March. Now it's an annual thing, but they have great tips on how to reach out to your how to reach out to your elected official. I know Sierra Club and
Yeah.
NPCA, Cal Wild, all sorts of organizations have hubs now on their websites where you can go check out, Outdoor Alliance, follow up with your elected official. And so I would recommend to people like listen to these Instagram lives and live streams, follow along on these hashtags, just kind of, and you'll start to pick up, and you're like, oh, okay, so if I attend that live stream or that virtual meeting, I can learn about this. Or if I follow and volunteer for that organization, I can be a better part. I can feel a little bit more empowered to speak my mind and speak to my passions. So I would encourage you, like, keep doing this, keep tuning in, keep following these hashtags, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Like, there is power in this form of outreach, and it also helps elected officials and individuals and leaders and policymakers hear some feedback. So we want to push, and we want to push, and we want to push in the right way, and we want to be nice, but we also don't want to like roll over and let people do things without speaking up, without using our voices. And we know within Latina communities, there's a proud tradition of speaking our minds and being vocal and being active. So my advice: keep listening to these things. Like they are a resource on their own.
All right, awesome. Okay, so I want to just recap. We have gone over two. Somebody was asking me, so moving on to the third one. So the first one was, how do you find an issue? The first thing, just make sure that you know at what level you want to get involved. You don't have to be a superhero. You don't need to be an social media influencer. You don't need to be rich. You can be anyone and make a tremendous difference in your community by getting involved. So even if it's something like, I don't like that there's a lot of trash in my trail, or I don't like that I don't even have a sign to like where do I go? Have you been in that? Have you ever find yourself in that situation? You're in the trail and you're like, okay, is it this way or that way? Like, where's the signage and so all of these things you can go and advocate for them, which gets me the second part that we were talking about, which is who can give you what you want. Who are the elected officials that you need to know and build relationships with? Again, you don't need to be famous, you don't need to be rich, you don't need to be part of even part of an organization. Just make sure that you go to Google and you type, who is my elected official, and your address or your zip code, and then find out who your city council member is, who your mayor is, who is in your county supervisor, your assembly member, senator, who's your also your governor, and ultimately who represents you at the federal level, who's your congress member, who is the VP, who leads our public lands at the national level. All those things are important for you to know, and that's going to be your homework for today. In Advocacy Afuera, your homework is go and find out at every level who represents you, and at least know them, so that when they come in the news, you can say, oh, I have heard that name before. I think this person is my person, or something. Or you can email them, or you can call them and say, I was just in my trail and it's full of trash. What are we going to do about it? Or I was just in the rivers and I noticed there's no water. What are we doing to fight climate change? So those things are important that you like get involved. So the third one that I think a lot of people are going to be like, yay, I've been waiting for you to talk about this, is how do we do advocacy afuera? So it's not just advocating for the outdoors, for the beautiful nature, but it's also how do we do this work and we can reconnect with Mother Nature. We can reconnect with the indigenous people that have, care for this land before we got here, and how can we uplift those principles as we bring community. So super simple. Who doesn't like it when somebody calls them and says, you want to go hiking, or you want to go find a swimming hole? Or I'm a hot spring hunter, so I love all the hot springs. So, maybe a good way to get your friends involved that are not involved in the issue that you care about is inviting them to the place that you want to, bring like light about, and together learn about, who were the indigenous people that, care for that land at the beginning. I think that's very important. What are some of the services, who service that area, what's going on, at what time they open, at what time they close, like all these other stuff. But there's so much beauty about organizing outdoors, afuera. There is so much beauty about advocating afuera. Bring your elected official to the hike too. Bring them to the hot spring that is drying out because of global warming and the climate crisis. Bring them to see the amount of trash, because there's no trash cans in the trail. So all of these things are important, and they can be a tremendous way to get your community and build relationships with elected officials. Because really, this is what we're really trying to convey here, is this is really about community. This is really about coming together and getting involved. And we all know that we cannot do it alone. So we're gonna need, other people coming along with us. So this is how we kind of let them drink the Kool-Aid a little bit. Do you guys have any other tips on how to organize afuera or how to do advocacy afuera? Kim or Chris?
I mean, ultimately, and we'll see if I can get the sound on this Instagram going. I mean, ultimately, you named it. It's really connecting people to these places, because I think that's when they'll start growing in appreciation and really understanding why it matters to protect these places. And I want to see some people drop in the chat, or just like share your like favorite places. Let's hear them. Let's not be, what is it called? Withholding of these beautiful places that everyone should be able to experience and enjoy. But yeah, it really comes to like taking people outdoors, connecting them. And it could be, a county park. LA County actually has beautiful natural areas, if you didn't know. Beautiful places like Vasquez Rocks, Whittier Narrows. I didn't know that the LA County managed beautiful places like this. It feels like it's just very beautiful nature. It could be going to the forest. I've been taking some of my really close girlfriends to the lake every year. It's an annual thing now. I've been taking my friends to Mammoth Lakes, and it might seem super far away. It's like 4 hours. I mean, Angeles Forest is closer. Vasquez Rocks is closer. But that really gets people tapped into like understanding why it's so important and vital to protect these places, not only because it's nature, but because it offers healing, because it helps us reconnect to the earth and our indigenous roots, because climate change is very real. If we're not like preserving these places, how are we helping combat climate change and all the other things that it affects, like water, heat? All of these things are very connected. So it really starts by like getting out there, and maybe you'll meet someone on the trail who also really cares about these places, and you're like, yeah, we should email our council members because we need to protect these places. So yeah, just really getting out there.
Beautiful. Are there any events, or are there anything happening for Latino Conservation Week that we can plug in onto this conversation and invite folks? I don't know, Christian, if maybe there is a way that people can get in touch with Latino Outdoor to kind of get plugged in and go, oh, I think something happened. Whoever watches on Instagram is done. But
yeah, Christian, I can make the plug while
are there
Christian is getting
any
that.
things happening, Kim, that you can invite us to?
Yeah, while Christian is reconnecting us to Instagram, I can share. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, we have two really great upcoming events this weekend for folks who want to stay connected to Latino Conservation Week. Latino Outdoors, Nature for All, Latino Conservation Week organization, and I am leaving someone out. I know there's other partners like the Forest Service. They're hosting this really wonderful event on Saturday morning at Los Angeles State Historic Park. There's going to be music, there's going to be food, good vibes. I believe there's also birding. So I highly encourage you all to check that out. You could visit the Latino Outdoors Instagram, or I think if you go to latinoconservationweek.com, there's a list of events there. So please go to latinoconservationweek.com. There's a list of events happening all over LA. There's a second event happening on Sunday at Stoneview Center, which is over the Baldwin Hills area, Culver City area. I also encourage you all to go to that event. If you tienes planes on Saturday and you can't make it, on Sunday there's a birding event, birding pan y cafecito being hosted.
Rico.
Come through. We are partnering with Nature Nexus Institute. Their sister organization is LA Audubon, who I'm sure most of you are maybe a little familiar with. So we're going to be birding at Stoneview Nature Center. They're going to be providing binoculars. We're going to have the pan y cafecito. And yeah, it's just going to be a great time. I didn't get into birding until way later, and I'm just enjoying so much learning about birds. They're beautiful animals, our beautiful ancestors. So 2 events, Saturday at Los Angeles State Historic Park with Latino Outdoors, Nature for All, and then on Sunday with the Angeles chapter of the Sierra Club and Nature Nexus Institute.
We'll make sure that we add those here to the comments when we post the video, and share with people how they can, RSVP and all that. But one thing that I want to encourage everyone is to really get out there. I love nature. I love being, and like I feel like it heals me every time I'm outdoors and I'm out there, like in the mountains. I really feel at home. And nature is for all of us. It's not just for me. It's not just for curly hair people. It's not just for tall people. It's for everyone. And everyone has a responsibility to care for our nature and our beautiful planet. And I say this because you'd be surprised how many people reach out to me when I post my pictures of my trips saying, I have never camped in my life before. I have never been camping. I have never been out there. Aren't you scared of the animals? Are you worried hiking alone? And it's so eye-opening to me to see that there's so many people that look like me, or maybe they're black, or maybe they are Afro Latinos, or maybe they're Latinx, or indigenous folks that grow up in the city in an urban setting, and yet don't know the beauty of our mountains and our nature out there. So what I want to encourage you guys is for you to go out there and be an ambassador. In this Latino Conservation Week, if you're Latino, you are an ambassador. I am making you an ambassador right now of the outdoors and of our beautiful nature, and an advocate. And especially learning about these kind of 4 tips that we went over today, kind of finding what we cared about, who our elected officials are, getting involved and doing some organizing outside. Take advantage of, and in California, for example, where we have such beautiful weather, there's really no reason why you shouldn't take advantage to do that beautiful organizing and advocacy afuera. So just like this week, or this day today that is dedicated to advocacy, I want to congratulate you for passing this class, this teach-in for the afternoon, and for go ahead and do your homework. You still have a homework, and find out who your elected officials are, and take your community out there and show them the ropes and the beauty that there is in our community, and being outside. So I think this is it. Christian, anything else that we're missing for today?
Just keep on supporting each other, amplify each other's voices. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. And I believe that in all of my heart. We are stronger together. Together, we make the earth shake in the best of ways. And so let's keep on supporting each other. Let's uplift each other's voices. Let's find each other's causes. Let's reach across and lift each other up together. And yeah, follow leaders like Aura and Kim. You can't go wrong with that.
Absolutely. Okay, Kim, so I see you maybe Saturday or Sunday. Thank you, Christian, so much for giving us the space here to talk about these important topics. And I'll see you tomorrow. What's tomorrow? What's tomorrow in Latino Conservation Week?
Tomorrow is we're doing Conservation Cultura, then Comunidad y Familia, and then Diversify Outdoors, then Yo Cuento, then we're celebrating the end of Latino, Latinx, Latina, Latino Conservation Week. And then just a reminder that we have a photo contest that's continuing. So if you have that passion, if you have those issues, if you want to talk about climate change, if you're a photographer or a visual storyteller, please submit your work and we'll recognize it, and there's good prizes. And we also have the Latino Conservation Week Achievement Award. So if there is somebody, Ahora, I believe that you were a
I was a
recipient last
recipient.
year.
Yes.
Yeah. So if there is somebody who inspires you, like Ahora inspired us, just keep them in mind, and you'll see more about the submission and the nomination forms. But we also want to recognize each other and give each other our flowers, because some of us definitely deserve it.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And Kim, how can people find you?
Yeah, if you
Or
want to
the
get
Sierra
involved,
Club program or
yeah.
so?
If you loved what you heard today, you're looking for ways to continue getting involved, take your advocacy to the next level. And I just want to stress, you don't have to have any experience. Just bring your curiosity, your passion to want to learn more and get involved. Go to the Angeles chapter Sierra Club. Just Google that. You'll find our website. You'll see a conservation page. My info should pop there. You can schedule time to meet with me and connect with me, and we'll have a little virtual date and talk about all the potential ways that you can get involved with the Sierra Club. And we also have groups working on specific land areas. We have a Griffith Park section. We have a Santa Monica Mountains group. We have a lot of great potential places for you to get involved.
All right, this is it. So thank you so much, everyone. And I hope that Advocacy Afuera was a place where you can, learn a thing or two. And I see you out there. Okay, bye.
Bye, everyone.